What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now don't forget to like this video as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video clicking that button down below. And if we get 500 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 19 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 19 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $350 just yesterday. Another member won $337 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Justin Stansberry 7555 who said let's kick off the weekend with some wins, and shout out to George James 8732 who also spammed up the money face emoji. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is Trey Murphy, and this one is for 10.5 rebounds and assists, so a combo one for 10.5, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Trey Murphy, we actually have seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those 5 games, we see on November 23rd, faced off against Atlanta, had 13 rebounds and assists there. November 25th, faced off against Chicago, had 8 rebounds and assists. November 27th, faced off against Memphis, had 10 rebounds and assists. Then December 3rd, faced off against Minnesota Timberwolves, had 19 rebounds and assists, and faced off against Minnesota Timberwolves again on December 5 and had 15 rebounds and assists there. So very interesting to see, because we have definitely seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 13. Now looking at this matchup, we do know Trey Murphy and the New Orleans Pelicans face off against the Brooklyn Nets, so it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup there. But what we also do see when it comes to this is that looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with actually, the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans have definitely struggled just a little bit as they currently find themselves in the 15th spot in the Western Conference. Now they have a record of 3 wins and 20 losses. That's a 13% win percentage there. And on top of that, what we also do see is that they also have are 2-11 from home, 1-9 from away, and are currently on a 5-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there. Now coming into this matchup, we do know that the Pelicans face off against none other than actually, the Brooklyn Nets, who, looking at the Brooklyn Nets, are on the other side of the conference, but they actually have the 13th spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 5 wins, 17 losses, a 22.7% win percentage there. And on top of that, 1-10 from home, 4-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there. Now coming into this matchup, we do also know that, looking at where Brooklyn Nets do rank defensively, we do see that Brooklyn Nets come in at the actual 25th spot when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, they do come in at the 17th spot. So they do rank pretty mid-tier, to be honest, in both categories. However, the reason why we still do like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that when we look at Brooklyn Nets, we actually do see they do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds and assists to the forward position. So for someone like Trey Murphy, we definitely see him going on the under there. And looking at someone like Trey, who has definitely, gone on the under against tougher defensive matchups when it comes to restricting rebounds and assists, we definitely see that happening again coming into this game. Now, for someone like Trey Murphy, we do also know coming into this matchup, we also have seen that Brooklyn Nets not only do a great job at restricting forwards, but when it comes to Trey, we also are expecting that when we look at some of the games that he has been able to go in the over, it was against much easier teams, and we feel that those games have brought this line a little bit too high, then now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. So we do believe now it's very much overflated. When we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for someone like Trey Murphy. The Trey Murphy 10.5 rebounds and assists for less, I think, is a fantastic pick. Now, when we actually look at this, we do also see coming into the next pick, we do have another great one, which is none other than actually the other side of this matchup, which is Terance Mann. So Terance Mann from Brooklyn Nets, this one's a great one for 3.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Terance Mann, we actually have seen him do somewhat of a decent job, but it's still gone on the under in 2 out of the last 5. Now, looking at this, we do know November 24th faced off against the Toronto Raptors, actually had 2 rebounds there. After that, November 25th faced off against New York Knicks, had 6 rebounds. Then November 29th faced off against Philadelphia, had 4 rebounds there. November 30th faced off against Milwaukee, had 1 rebound, and then 4 rebounds against Utah Jazz on December 5th. So very, very interesting to see. Now, obviously, coming into this matchup, we do know that Terance Mann and the Brooklyn Nets face off against the, actual New Orleans Pelicans. But looking at his average over the last 5, his average over the last 5 is also 3.4. So slightly below this line as well, which is interesting to see. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know that the Brooklyn Nets face off against a New Orleans Pelicans team that, when we look at their ranking, just to quickly remind you all again, starting off with Brooklyn come in at the 13th spot in the Eastern Conference with a record of 5 wins, 17 losses, and also have a 22.7% win percentage there. They're 1-10 from home, 4-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. Now, they face off against the New Orleans Pelicans, who do actually, as we've mentioned, ranked 15th in the actual Western Conference. They have a record of 3 wins, 20 losses, a 13% win percentage there, 2-11 from home, 1-9 from away, and are currently on a 5-game losing streak. So it definitely has been a little bit tough for them there. Now, when we actually look at, the matchup between both of these teams, we do also see that New Orleans Pelicans do actually rank when it comes to, rebounds allowed. We do actually see that New Orleans Pelicans come in surprisingly in the 22nd position. So it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, they rank, still in the lower tier, but as we always know, we do like to look on a per position basis, as we definitely see it being a very, very different story. Because looking at that, we do also see that, Terance Mann will most likely go on the under coming into this matchup, because looking at New Orleans Pelicans, they do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to Terance Mann's position. Now, when we look at Terance Mann, yes, he has had some games where he has gone on the over, but some of those games he's only gone on the over by 0.5. And for that reason, we definitely see him going on the under once again, due to the fact that those games aren't really that convincing enough to us. We see him more likely to go on the under compared to the over, which is why we do very, very much like the under for this one. So when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor there. So all in all, we are definitely liking the under for this one. So Terance Mann, 3.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Jalen Duren. So Jalen Duren, this is a great one for actually rebounds and assists. So another combo one for 14.5, however, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Jalen Duren, we actually have seen him go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now, when we actually look at this, we do also know that Jalen Duren has gone on the under in 4 out of the last 5. But looking at that, November 27th, faced off against Boston, had 17 rebounds and assists there. November 29th, faced off against Orlando, had 14 rebounds and assists. December 2nd, faced off against Atlanta, had 11 rebounds and assists. December 4th, faced off against Milwaukee, had 9 rebounds and assists. And then against Portland Trail Blazers on December 6th, actually had 8 rebounds and assists there. So we actually have seen Jalen Duren go on the under quite consistently. Unfortunately, it definitely has been a struggle that his average over the last 5 has also been 11.8. So significantly below his line there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know that that actually, Jalen Duren and the Detroit Pistons have themselves a very, very good matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, it is going to be a great matchup between two Eastern Conference teams. Now, starting off with Detroit have, definitely surprised a lot of people because they have come in at the actual number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 18 wins, 5 losses, a 78.3% win percentage there, 9-2 from home, 8-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very, very fantastic from the Detroit Pistons. They have shown out greatly, and they faced off against a Milwaukee Bucks team who do rank 10th in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 10 wins and 14 losses. So that's a 41.7% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 7-7 from home, 3-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see. Now, looking at the Bucks, and also the Detroit Pistons, a lot of people thought Bucks would be in a much, much better position, but unfortunately they have struggled just a little bit. And when it comes to this matchup between both of these teams, looking at Milwaukee Bucks defensively, we do see that the Bucks come in 15th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed. We also do see that the Bucks come in at the 20th spot. So very interesting to see. Now, coming into this matchup, we do like the under for this. Now, Milwaukee Bucks, although they don't really rank too well from a team standpoint of view, we do actually see, as we mentioned time and time again, on a per position basis, a very, very different story. Milwaukee Bucks do a great job against, the center position, and we definitely, is evident due to the, bigs that Milwaukee Bucks have. I know Giannis is still expected to be out for this game, but with players like Myles Turner playing very, very great, we are expecting them to put a lot of defensive pressure on them. Now, coming into this matchup, we do like the under, as we've mentioned, and looking at this matchup, we do also see that they have faced off against each other on December 4th, and we did see Jalen Duren go on the under there. Now, what also helps this case is due to the fact that Jalen Duren has definitely just struggled in general when it comes to hitting this line. He's gone on the under, as we mentioned, in 4 out of the last 5. His usage rate just hasn't really been there in both departments, and it definitely has, had him struggle to reach this line pretty consistently. So that's why coming into this matchup, we do very, very much like the under for this situation. So I definitely do like the under for someone like Jalen Duren coming into this game. And when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So Jalen Duren, 14.5 rebounds and assists for less. I think he's a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Nic Claxton. So as you all know, Nic Claxton, great player for none other than the Brooklyn Nets. And we've actually seen him do a fantastic job, averaging 13.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and has also had a 55.7% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at someone like Nic Claxton, we do know that Nic Claxton also does actually, rank 80th when it came to points, 31st when it came to rebounds, 45th when it came to assists, and then 12th when it came to field goal percentage. So it definitely has been a great game for him. Now, looking at Nic Claxton, we do know the Brooklyn Nets have themselves a very, very good matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game there. And looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with actually, the Brooklyn Nets, we do see that Brooklyn Nets have definitely struggled a little bit this season because they come in at the 13th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now, they actually have a record of 5 wins and 17 losses. That's a 22.7% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 1-10 from home, 4-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see. Now, obviously, looking at that matchup, we do also know that, Brooklyn Nets face off against a Pelicans team who also do struggle just a little bit, because the Pelicans come in at the 15th spot in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 3 wins and 20 losses. That's a 13% win percentage there. They're also 2-11 from home, 1-9 from away, and are currently on a 5-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see. Now, looking at this matchup, we do also know New Orleans Pelicans do actually rank, starting off with points allowed. We see that they rank 28th. When it comes to assists allowed, we see that the Pelicans rank 26th. Rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Pelicans come in at the actual 22nd position. So, very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like Nic Claxton, we definitely have seen him, do a great job for the Brooklyn Nets, and facing off against a Pelicans team who don't really rank too well in all three categories. We definitely see someone like Claxton going on the over here. Now, Claxton does have a very good usage rate in all three departments. He doesn't have the highest usage rate in all three departments, but he definitely is a very, very, big player for this team. Provides a lot of usage rate out there, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists, and we definitely see him being able to go on the over in this one. Now, when we look at someone like Nic Claxton as well, we do see that they face off against Pelicans, but Pelicans do also struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the center position, so that just really does solidify our spot and why we do like the over for someone like Nic Claxton coming into this game. Now, when we actually look at his last 5 games, we saw on the 29th faced off against Philly, had a 115-103 loss with actually 12 points, 1 assist, 6 rebounds there. On the 30th faced off against Milwaukee, had a 116-99 loss with 7 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. After that, on the 2nd faced off against Charlotte, had a 116-103 win with 13 points, 6 assists, 11 rebounds there. Then on the 4th faced off against Chicago, had a 113-103 win with 14 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, and then 12 points, 4 assists, 9 rebounds against Utah Jazz with a 123-110 loss. And that was actually on the 5th. So very, very interesting to see. But obviously looking at Nic Claxton and the matchup against none other than actually, Pelicans, we are expecting someone like Claxton to be able to take full advantage of Pelicans' poor defense. And that's why we do very much like the over for this one. So definitely keep an eye out for the over for him, and keep an eye out for the line. If it is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Myles Turner. So, Myles Turner, great player, as we all know, for none other than the Milwaukee Bucks. And he's done a great job actually averaging 12.7 points, 5.9 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and has also had a 43.5% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now he actually comes in tied at 96th when it comes to points allowed, 61st when it comes to rebounds allowed, 150th plus when it comes to assists, and 123rd when it comes to field goal percentage. So very, very interesting to see, looking at someone like Myles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks, we do see that Turner also, does rank 96th in points, 61st in rebounds, 150th plus in assists, and 123rd in field goal percentage. And although, I would say it is a little bit on the lower side when it comes to ranking, Myles Turner and his usage rate for this team has actually been very, very good. He's definitely provided a lot for this team, and coming into this matchup, we are definitely liking this situation for him, because we do actually know that Myles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks do actually face off against none other than the Detroit Pistons. Now, he's definitely going to play a big part in this game, but looking first at, the matchup between both of these teams, we do know that Detroit Pistons do come in at the number 1 spot in the actual Eastern Conference. They have a record of 18 wins and 5 losses. That's a 78.3% win percentage there. They're 9-2 from home, 8-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see. Pistons have definitely surprised a lot of people. I don't think many people thought they would be in the number 1 spot, but they have been able to pull together, some great games and also some great performances, which is why they find themselves in that number 1 position. Now, when we look at their matchup, we do also know that Milwaukee Bucks have themselves, a pretty tough start to the season, because they currently rank 10th in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 10 wins, 14 losses, a 41.7% win percentage there. They're also 7-7 from home, 3-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So looking at that matchup, obviously both of these teams in the Eastern Conference, so it is definitely going to be an exciting one. But looking at actually, Myles Turner and also their matchup, which is Detroit Pistons, we do see that Detroit coming at the 5th spot when it comes to points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, we see that Detroit rank 1st, and then rebounds allowed, Detroit Pistons also rank 8th. So, Detroit, as we mentioned, they are the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and that is for great reason. They have a great defense behind them, and that's why coming into this matchup, we do very much like the under for someone like Myles Turner. Now, as we mentioned before, although Myles Turner will definitely play a huge part in this game, we are still expecting the under for this, as we are expecting Detroit Pistons to really put that defensive pressure on them and restrict them as much as they can. Now, looking at this matchup, we do also know that Myles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks have themselves a very good matchup against a team that does like to play slow ball. Detroit like to slow down the pace. It's one of the reasons why they ranked very high in all 3 categories. And coming into this matchup, we do like the under for someone like Myles Turner, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. Now, looking at Turner over the last 5 games, we saw on the 29th faced off against New York Knicks, had a 118-109 loss with 10 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds there. On the 30th, faced off against Brooklyn, had a 116-99 win with 10 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Then on the 2nd, faced off against Washington, had a 129-126 loss with 9 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. On the 4th, faced off against Detroit, had a 113-109 win with 9 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds there. And then against Philadelphia 76ers on the 6th, had a 116-101 loss with 19 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds there. So it's definitely been a very interesting time, for Myles Turner. Obviously, win-loss. So, Myles Turner has been able to put together some great performances. But what we definitely have seen, especially in that most recent game that they faced off against Detroit, we did see Myles Turner struggle quite a lot to, score, assist, and also play, make, and rebound. And that's why coming into this next one, we do still like the under for it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for this one. So Myles Turner, keep an eye out for his line. If it is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Ivica Zubac. So Ivica Zubac, great player, as we all know, for the LA Clippers. And he's actually done a fantastic job so far this season, because we've actually seen him average 16 points, 11.6 rebounds, 2.7 assists, as also had a 60.4% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. But obviously, looking at this matchup, we do also know that when it comes to Ivica Zubac, we see him ranked 62nd in points, 3rd in rebounds, 100th when it came to assists, and then 9th when it came to field goal percentage. So definitely very interesting to see. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to actually Ivica Zubac and the LA Clippers have themselves a very good matchup against none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it is definitely going to be an exciting game there. Now, looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with actually, we'll start off with the LA Clippers. We do see LA Clippers. They both are in the West, but Clippers have definitely struggled because they come in at the 13th spot in the Western Conference. They have a record of 6 wins, 17 losses, a 26.1% win percentage there, 3-7 from home, 3-10 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see into that matchup. Very interesting sort of matchup there. We do know that the LA Clippers face off against none other than actually the Timberwolves, and Timberwolves come in at the 6th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 14 wins, 8 losses, a 63.6% win percentage there, 7-3 from home, 7-5 from away, and are currently on a 4-game win streak. So as you see, obviously with both of these teams, a little bit of a discrepancy between both, in a sense that both rank very different from each other. But looking at this matchup, we do also know, and looking at actually Timberwolves and where they do rank defensively, starting off with points allowed, we do see that Timberwolves come in at the 11th spot when it comes to points allowed. Then also assists allowed, we see that Timberwolves rank 9th, and then rebounds allowed, we also see that they rank 12th. So very interesting there. Obviously, looking at Timberwolves, they do rank very well in all 3 categories, and that's why coming into this matchup, we do very much like the actual under for someone like Ivica Zubac. Now, when we look at Zubac, we do also know that he does play that center position, and Minnesota Timberwolves actually do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the center position. So that's why coming into this game, we do very much like the actual, under for someone like Ivica Zubac. We definitely see, a team like Timberwolves definitely do a great job at defending that center position, and we definitely see that playing a huge factor coming into this game. Now, when we also look at, the matchup between both of these teams, Timberwolves do like to play a slower pace type basketball, and that slower pace type basketball definitely does seem to show that when it comes to that slow pace and Timberwolves like to run, they like to slow down as much as they can, but it definitely has effect on the other team. The Zubac coming into this one, we definitely see him going on the under due to the pace being more slow, and less pace means less volume and less opportunity to score, rebound, and also play make. So similar to the other picks there. But coming into this one, we do very much like the under. Now looking at someone like Zubac over the last 5 games, we did see on the 29th faced off against Memphis Grizzlies, had a 112-107 loss with 9 points, 5 assists, 12 rebounds there. On the 30th, faced off against Dallas, had a 114-110 loss with 19 points, 4 assists, 11 rebounds. Then on the 2nd, faced off against Miami, had a 140-123 loss with 16 points, 2 assists, 13 rebounds. And then on the 4th, faced off against Atlanta, had a 115-92 win with 14 points, 5 assists, 17 rebounds. And then 10 points, 1 assist, 6 rebounds against Memphis Grizzlies on the 6th with a 107-98 loss. So very, very interesting battle between, some of these games. But coming into this next one, although Zubac does have a very good usage rate in all 3 departments, we definitely see him going on the under here. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for someone like Ivica Zubac coming into this game. See a lot of value there to go on the under. And when it comes to his line, definitely keep an eye out for it. If it is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under there.